Broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, and around the world. TV host, best-selling author, and radio personality Brad Gilmore brings you a collection of conversations with stars from movies.
Matthew McConaughey.
Brad Gilmore.
Mark Wahlberg.
Hey, how are you?
The one and only Sydney Sweeney joins us. Sydney, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you. How are you?
Tom Hanks and Robin Wright in my favorite movie of the year. Guys, thanks so much for joining the show.
Oh, thank you.
Well, thank you. Jessica Alba and Lizzie Mathis. Ladies, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Kevin Costner joins us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Television.
Jimmy Fallon joins us this morning. Jimmy, how you doing, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much, Brad, for having me. I appreciate this, bud.
One of my all-time favorites, Vince Vaughn, joins us right now. Vince, thanks, man.
Oh, great to be with you, Brad, and great to be talking to Houston. Good morning to you.
We got Owen Wilson. We got Judy Greer. Thanks for joining the show, guys.
Thank you.
Jay Leno joins us. Jay, how you doing?
Hey, Brad, what's going on?
We got Anna Sawai joining the show. Anna, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Brad.
Music.
Lola Monroe.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
The legendary frontman of AC/DC, Brian Johnson, joins us right now. Brian, how you doing?
Good morning, Brad. What looking at talking me funny, lad.
Megan Trainor.
Thank you so much, Brad. You're awesome.
Paris Hilton, the infinite icon herself, is on the show. Paris, love the film.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it.
And more. This is The Collection. Now your host, The Boat.
Brad Gilmore! Guy, thank you so much for taking the time. Congratulations on this film.
Thank you very much, Brad.
Look, it's a pleasure to speak to you. I mean, I really loved the movie. I watched it last night, and I'm always curious, especially when you write and direct a film. What was the kind of moment of inspiration for you? Where was the moment of origin when you were penning the screenplay?
Well, actually, it's based on an original story, right? So it's based on and when I found out that the story happened, I thought, hold on, there's a whole world of people that are trained in a conventional world of, let's call it the white, on the right side of the law. And then you realize they take their skills and they apply them, I wouldn't say to the completely the dark side, but there's certainly an oscillation where they end up in the gray. And I find that morally ambiguous in a very sort of interesting way. And so I liked the world. I liked the idea that you took these professional soldiers and took their skill set and applied it to the gray. And also the same is true of the legal profession.
Well, yeah, right. You have to be able to kind of work outside the boundaries. I think just even from the opening scene, when Eiza's kind of setting up her character, setting up what being in the gray is, just in the first few minutes of the movie, you're automatically intrigued. And I feel like you do always such a great job of dropping people into the world. And as a filmmaker who you've done such a breadth of different types of stories, do you feel like it's best to, as quickly as we can, set people on that ride, establish the world that we're living in so that we can jump kind of right into the narrative, or does it depend on story to story?
It's a good question. And the question is because it's quite, the world of debts could be boring, right?
Sure.
Administrative financial debts can be boring. But it's quite funny, as soon as you find out how you're going to get that debt back, it's not so boring. So my job as a storyteller is to work out what's peanuts and what's poo, because they come together, right? So you have to get the hose out and get rid of all the uninteresting stuff and then go, right, the audience are interested in the peanuts. They're not interested in the boring admin. But nevertheless, certain administrative points are important. So your job is to find those string of peanuts, put them all together, and as quickly as possible, so you can keep momentum and interest alive, that so you can follow it administratively. So, and then it's much easier to sell action than it is to sell admin. But nevertheless, I like some degree of admin, right?
Sure.
So otherwise, it's just action porn.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well,
And
yeah, it has to have a story, but you have to have that. You can't have the action without the reason, right?
Yeah, otherwise it is literally porn. And what you got the milkman turns up to Mrs. Fawcett's house, and next thing you know, were on the kitchen table, and there was a very thin alibi as to why we got on the kitchen table, right? So if you're not, and there are certain stimulating things about the human condition, action and sex being one of them, is that people just want to cut to it. But actually, you don't want to just cut to it, right? So that's all the sugar, but what you really need is the protein. So there's a combination of oscillation between protein and nutrition. And I mean, I like some pornography in my movies, whether it be action or sex. Actually, sex not so much, but certainly it's action. But you want to feel like you got there in a relatively elegant fashion, and you don't feel grubby about the fact that you're watching action, right? You want to go, well, I'm watching it for a good enough reason, right? There needs to be an alibi, a plausible alibi as to how you got there. So, and I find most interesting subjects is somewhere in the grey, right? That it's not just black and it's not just white. It's not just action porn and it's not just boring admin. That there's somewhere in between those worlds, intellectual admin, that there's a desire, and so I'm a big fan of greed, right? And I mean, let me summarize that in proportion to how positive something is proportionate to how negative it can be, right? So people demonize greed, but the fact is, without greed, life is rather humdrum and boring. The question is how do you manage it? It's really just a question of managing greed, but desire is very important, and greed is very important. Now, too much of that becomes gratuitous and grubby and negative. Not enough of that is apathetic, boring, and uninspiring. So, you as a filmmaker, you're really a philosopher of sorts, when how to keep people a provocative element in the equation that's academic, intellectual, or spiritual, and then simultaneously you're juggling balls and spinning plates in order to keep them stimulated on a more cosmetic basis. And you're baking a cake, so you want to make sure there's enough fun in the cake, right? At the same time, enough nutrition in the cake. And it may be in retrospect that you reflect back on the nutrition.
Right.
But what I do know is that there's a skill to starting a movie and finishing it and watching it. And there's so many movies, lauded movies, by the way, which I suspect you and I both know they're lauded. And you have to take in some degree of tenacity intimidating tenacity in order to know that you've got to make it to the end, right? As opposed to, here's another movie that it isn't so lauded, but fuck me, I want to watch it. All right. So, and it's to some degree, rather embarrassingly, I find myself having finished really not such good movies, but I got to the end. And then you have to reward the movie because it got you to the end. And there's other movies that are lauded, which I'm desperate for an excuse not to finish it.
So what you're saying is you have to balance, but it's really always going to be somewhere in the gray, as you alluded to earlier. And you know what? I think that makes the most compelling stories are these people who are living in the gray and also figuring out how to balance as a filmmaker to engage the audience, as you've done so for your entire career. I'm a big fan of all of your work. So this has been I wish we had an hour to talk. Maybe we'll get that moment at a later date, but I do appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.